Welcome. Hi, I'm Danny Flamberg, the Vice President of Strategy at LiveWorld, and I'm having a conversation with Dr. Umar Siddiqui, our Chief Medical Officer, who's done some extensive research in the private gated communities serving physicians and HCPs. And for the next few minutes, we're going to talk about his research, his understanding of these platforms, and the role they might play in a pharma marketing program. So welcome, Dr. Siddiqui. And let me start by asking you, why is there such interest in these so-called walled gardens? Like, what's the big deal about this?
Hey, Danny, it's great to be here. So these walled gardens are, in essence, digital communities, if you will. As a lot of our professional communication and social interaction is virtual nowadays, it's the same MO here. Only now it's with one's peers, colleagues, and like-minded practitioners. With that said, there's also a sense of immediacy and real-time attention in these HCP walled garden platforms, something that we've become accustomed to with our on-demand services in our day-to-day. An HCP can post a case, ask a question, or share a public article of interest, and there will be a response, feedback, and interaction almost in real time.
So when you as a physician go to these communities or your peers go to these communities, what do they expect? They obviously don't go every day. So when they do go, what are they looking for? What are they doing? What do they expect? What's going to happen?
So I myself do have my tiered preferences of online sites and digital social apps, as I'm sure everyone else does. With regards to the HCP walled garden platforms, I tend to check in and scan multiple times a day, whether at the desktop, any little break I could find in the day using my phone, also when I'm afforded the time. Also, these walled gardens have notifications for communications and updates. So I may receive an email from a particular walled garden platform, which may highlight something that's featured or shared, which may I find of interest.
So what's the sensibility on these platforms? Are people friendly? Do they argue? Are there scientific arguments? Are there personal arguments? Do you find classmates? Do people hang out and just kind of hang out with other physicians in these platforms? What's the texture of what goes on?
It's interesting you asked that, Danny. You know what? It's a little bit of all of that. Much like other social platforms that we have in our day-to-day lives, from your Facebook, Instagrams, and your Twitters, you're going to have a little bit of that in these communities too, because it is a reflection of the day-to-day. Aside from being a source of non-formal communication and crowdsourcing of information and experiences, I believe physicians, as well as other healthcare professionals, actually enjoy coming across things on these platforms that are shared, which makes them curious, informed with regards to things that they may not encounter in their day-to-day. And this may include newer therapies, interesting patient profiles and cases, as well as trending industry news. So there's always something of interest that keeps HCPs coming and going.
And is there a dividing line between professional and personal? Are there personal feeds like on Facebook? Do you opt into certain kinds of things and opt out of others?
Interesting you say that. Things do bleed over and blur over, as we've seen in our LinkedIn and other professional platforms, where there's a bit more of personalization, more of regular life that does creep in. But generally on these platforms, it's very much to the point. Yes, in the comments and posts, you may see a little bit more flavor from one's day-to-day life in terms of their personal interest and things, but largely it does stay focused on in the professional space.
And there are curated articles and additional information, research information that's provided by these platforms?
Yes. So individuals themselves are obviously able to share what's of interest to them or what they may find of interest. Others may find of interest. With that said, there's also official default profiles, if you will, that are validated and verified, be that as it may be an organization, or it might even be the admin of a particular platform. And they do tend to share curated content, which is a little bit more focused towards the interest of what an individual may have in their feed or selected towards as an interest or topic.
So are these all pretty much the same, or are there distinct differences between the different platforms, some strengths and weaknesses that you could share with us?
Definitely, Danny. There's a variance. Much like our other social media platforms, these do vary. I mean, some key features that vary from platform to platform is one particular platform may actually have a professional job board, career links to share for what positions HCP may be interested in. Another platform may be more visual, where it's just sharing of cases and comments there. Another one may actually have, as we Previously mentioned the curated content and articles and published research that is shared to start and stimulate some conversations. So each one kind of has its own flavor, key salient points that they're a little bit stronger towards the others. And then lastly, there's some platforms that are all about community building where, you know, the cohort, colleagues, or classmates you may have had in the past to get you guys reconnected.
What are the most valuable aspects of these multifunctional platforms?
For me, and perhaps others, I believe, may attest to this as well, that freshness, real-time immediacy of interaction, and the experience on these HCP-oriented platforms is paramount. So you're obviously seeing your news, you're seeing updates, developments are brisk, as evident through other social media channels. However, in healthcare, it's so fast-paced, go environment when it comes to seeing, hearing, and learning something that the element of current, immediate, and on-demand is paramount. So to that point, the ability to share and interact with a broader group effortlessly is incredibly valuable. So these platforms do visit. Some are a little more visual, such as Figure One. Others are a little bit more in terms of shared publications, research, such as your Sermos and your Skipta. Skipta has their specialty communities. And then you have your Doximity, and Doximity actually is different where there are some patient care tools on there, which also combines the elements of connecting with your colleagues, your peers, and colleagues. So a bit of a classmates.com experience. So there's a bit of a variance and nuances across these different platforms.
Any of these platforms have group events? Do you say to somebody, I'll meet you on Sermo on Thursday night?
People can take these conversations offline. So there's a sense of community where people are able to connect, kind of have their group chats and things like that. Otherwise, yeah. And that's where kind of a lot of these platforms have kind of gone private, from private to the next level, where they're already a gated community, which require registration, validation, verification of the individual. But then from there, you get like a bit of a tribe, a cohort that kind of branches off there, and they take it to a private conversation, if you will.
So as a vascular surgeon, let me give you a hypothetical. Let's assume you invented a new technique for vascular surgery and you wanted to promote it using these walled gardens. What would you do, or how would you do it? Or are there any particular platforms that you would focus on first, second, or third?
So these digital platforms allow for awareness building and information dissemination, sharing of particular patient profiles, such as archetypes or personas, and noting what's perceived as standard of care or default protocol and treatment would allow one to gain insight into what's commonplace and routine that's being practiced out there. And sharing of relevant cases with details serving as guided scenarios or simulations would further the conversation and what the thinking by others is and what they're interested and curious towards. So it all starts with kind of building that awareness, then your information gathering to know what is commonplace, and then lastly, sharing what you, as a comment or a thought or a case, to see how well it would be received and get comments and critiques back.
And is there an expectation of new science on the part of people coming to these platforms?
Most definitely. HCPs are very curious. They like hearing from other HCPs. It really comes down to data and information. There's a lot of buzz, advertisements, promotional content out there, but nothing beats hearing it from your peers.
So this peer-to-peer thing is really important. How do the platforms promote that idea, and how do they keep people coming back?
I believe it to be second to none. So this obviously starts with engagement, to have the HCPs engaged, active, and participating. And numerous ways can be done like that, of challenges, online quizzes, surveys, polls, with new relevant information, and then it could direct you to another piece of research that was shared or trending news. So I guess it always starts with that engagement aspect, that engagement piece to keep HCPs coming, and then as well as having them curious, and then from there to be active and participating.
So is that the recommendation for me, the pharma marketer, that I should be marshaling clinical studies, putting together articles, surfacing KOLs, presenting videos, sharing MOA animations? Are these the kind of things that would, if I was trying to reach you through these walled gardens, are those the kind of content elements I would need to produce?
Absolutely. And it almost seems very obvious, but it just starts organically that way, of just, kind of lighting that little spark of creating that awareness, sharing a study, or whether it's a new drug or therapy that's in play, or a new research study that's ongoing. Just creating that bit of awareness, challenge the HCP to learn a little bit more, almost having that CME, the continuing medical education aspects. But to your point, bringing in the visuals, the video, the interaction, enhancing that experience for where they are passively learning. And through that, they're gaining this awareness. And through that awareness, is going to create that curiosity for them to further the conversation.
So they say that most doctors read the journals late at night or on the weekend. Is there a particular time of the day or week that you go, or that these platforms are particularly filled with practitioners?
You know what? It's all about finding that break in the day. As you know, HCPs are inundated with their day-to-day, aside from the point of care for the patients in that setting, and then also the administrative burden, as well as for themselves to stay abreast of trends, discoveries, emerging procedures, anything in their day-to-day specialty or practice. So just it's a matter of finding a break in the day, enhancing that user experience. And that's where I believe a lot of these walled gardens have done a great job in terms of having the notifications set up, where something to receive a simple email that kind of highlights or summarizes what may be shared or trending on the walled garden that may be of interest. And then aside from that, the experience through the digital apps. Everyone is bound to an iPad, an iPhone, or a smart device. And the moment they want to pass some time, they jump right in, scroll between cases, kind of replace water cooler chatter, so to speak, in this new ways of working that we're in.
Well, thank you for finding some time in your day to talk to me about this topic. Your extensive research has been published as an ebook, which is available free to anybody watching this video. Look at the URL on the screen and pick up the book, because it's an extensive research comparing the walled garden platforms and giving you information that heretofore has not really been available to pharma marketers. So again, thank you, Dr. Siddiqui, and have a great day.
Likewise to you, Dan. Thank you.